Hey guys, what's going on? It's Rekt Capital and welcome back to the Rekt Capital channel. Today we're going to be talking about 10 altcoins that I featured in my recent alt season special, a free newsletter to all you guys signed up to the newsletter. I'm going to be talking about a variety of different altcoins that were suggested to me, or at least requested by subscribers of the Rekt Capital newsletter. And I've decided for the first time in 4 months since we've launched the newsletter to make this altcoin TA request session free for everybody to read today. So let's dive right into the video. We're going to be looking at a variety of altcoins. These are the altcoins that we're going to be looking into: Algorand, Chainlink, Stellar, COTI or COTI, however you pronounce it, I never know. Ocean Protocol, VeChain, Reserve Rights, Harmony, Hedera Hashgraph, and Ren as well. So let's dive into Algorand, because this is a chart that I've been talking about in the newsletter for a while now, as far back as late January, in fact. And we were talking about a macro triangle, and of course macro triangles precede macro trends, and then we saw a massive breakout. And on Twitter I was covering this as well, talking about how we're going to reach the psychological level of $1, and then from there we're going to claim this red area as support and then rally onto $1.40. And since late July we've seen an appreciation of 200% since that first chart on the USDT pair. So if you want to look at the Algorand USDT pair, check out my Twitter. I've been covering it extensively there. And at the moment, we are at a major confluent resistance area. So it's going to be interesting, because if we break past that area, then Algorand is going to go much, much higher. But let's focus here on the BTC pair, because there are a lot of interesting things happening here. So on the monthly view, you can see here, this is going to be the range low. And these are going to be the two range highs, where we tend to see quite a lot of wicking to those areas. So lots of FOMO buying, lots of outlier price action into these two red areas, and we've just reached the bottom. We've just broken into this range right over here, and the question is, can we see a substantial enough dip to be able to just join the trend? Because the trend is up, guys. We've just broken into this wide monthly range, and now we just need to watch out for a dip to just join the trend. So the question is, could we dip to the green area? That would be a fantastic opportunity, but I don't know if it's very likely, because in the past we've seen rejections, pullbacks into this area of support, and then in a downtrend we haven't really seen that strong reaction. However, in a uptrend we've seen massive strength from the buyers there, but we don't have many months of price action to work with in terms of assessing how likely a return to this green area would be. But in any case, let's see how these black levels act as a support going forward, because these could be interesting levels to watch out for, especially if we see a weekly close like this, because that would mean that we'd probably see a return to either here or even wick down to here before seeing the trend continue upwards. So that's enough for Algorand. Let's dive into Chainlink, the USD and BTC pair. You can't really say much about the USD pair, because we've just broken a old all-time high, or at least this is the old all-time high. I get mixed up because Chainlink has been rallying really well recently. It's broken its old all-time high of $20. It's rallied 41% since, but the last time we saw an old all-time high break of $5, we saw an appreciation of 300%. We're just seeing 40% so far. So in my opinion, more to come, more price discovery yet to be had. Of course, it's ideal to keep 25 as a support, but so far so good. Looking into the end of the week, it's Friday already, so it's quite likely we're gonna claim 25 as support going forward. So much more price discovery to be had over time for Chainlink. But let's look at the BTC pair, because we actually broke down from an uptrend here, and now we're just retesting an old all-time high, but this time in the BTC pair. And this is essentially going to be the range right over here. Green to red, nothing too complicated. And in fact, if you zoom in here, you can see that this wick is longer than this wick. And as long as this continues, you have a little bit of a higher low form. But this is generally just showcasing to us that there is a slowing in the sell side momentum, and we could see some sort of U-shaped reversal later on. back towards the red area. So from range low to range high wouldn't be a stretch in this current market climate for Chainlink BTC. And here's another one we covered a long time ago on the Rekt Capital newsletter. Early January 8th, we were talking about how Stellar is probably going to dip at some point. Back in the day, of course, early January. It's been a while, but in any case, here's a bit what I talk about. Of course, you guys can check out this free newsletter by just clicking the link in the description down below just to delve into the details behind it. But generally speaking, Chainlink, or at least Stellar in this case, is now at a key resistance, this red area right over here. And my thoughts here: are we going to see a dip before we move higher? Are we going to claim this red area as a support and actually move higher relatively soon? In any case, we need to close on the weekly above this green area. That would be ideal, because we don't want to see upside wicking price action like this, because that would essentially be FOMO buyers getting wicked into a position and then being snapped back down and being trapped in that position. So holding above this green area into Sunday, into Monday of next week, that would be fantastic, because we could see a blue pathway or even a black pathway take place. So because there is a 30% gap, a volume gap ahead at higher prices for Stellar, so it would be interesting for Stellar to claim this area of support and then springboard to higher price levels. That would be fantastic. Speaking of COTI or COTI, you guys need to tell me how to pronounce this one, because you never know in the crypto space whether it's even Dogecoin or Doggycoin or Dogcoin. It's an educated guess, I guess, and there's a bit of risk involved in talking about, pronouncing coins. But never mind that. COTI or COTI has broken out from an ascending triangle, a macro ascending triangle bullish pattern, of course. And in this case, I'd like it to at least claim the red area as a new support, because in the past, this was a fantastic support, even though we saw downward wicking into the green area, which is of course not out of the question, because COTI, it's a very volatile coin. It's got a smaller market cap than even just comparing to Ethereum. That's a big difference there, but that's why we see a lot of volatility in this coin. So it wouldn't be out of the question to see a wick back into the green area. That would be fantastic. But at the same time, I want this to hold as a support, this red level, because that would enable a return over time back to this historical supply area. And of course, breaking this historical supply area would be fantastic, because that has yielded some outsized returns. But that's a topic for another day. Ocean Protocol is actually an altcoin that I was covering quite extensively on my Twitter account, talking about this bull pennant. And once we were to break out from here, we'd follow through on the black pathway, and it was fantastic to see this black pathway actually complete. At this stage, I'd like for the weekly close to actually occur above this blue level. And if that happens successfully, we'll follow through on this portion of the black pathway, which would be fantastic, because overall, this red area is what stands in the way of a nice move back to the blue levels right over here. So one step at a time, let's focus on this dip first, and then that recovery, and then a potential break of this red area before seeing further upside for Ocean Protocol. That being said, we are halfway through the free altcoin special that I've published here on the Rekt Capital newsletter to free subscribers, free readers, so feel free to sign up at any time. But at the same time, I'd like to mention to you guys a personal achievement. I'm very proud that the Rekt Capital technical analysis course has reached over 55-star ratings, so feel free to check out the TA course if you'd like to learn these skills for yourself to make the most of this bull run, this exciting era in altcoin price action, because altcoin market cap has only breached its 2017 highs, and there's just, the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. It's a great time to be in crypto. So if you want to learn the tools and the skills you need to succeed in this market, feel free to check out the link in the description down below to check out the Rekt Capital TA course, an educational resource I'm really proud of, and it's one of the most extensive resources that I've ever created. But having said that, let's dive into VeChain. Here is VeChain, and this is also a coin we covered a few weeks back, how VeChain was in this falling wedge, and of course it broke out just to revisit this black circled area. And this black circled area needs to turn into support before seeing further upside. But on this occasion in late January, VET wasn't able to do that. But it did successfully retest this falling wedge, which is why we're now back at the black circled area. So we're seeing buy pressure really increase over time. There is this higher low. The falling wedge has been successfully retested, and sellers are going to start running out of power and strength here. They're not going to be able to reject price much longer. So really important to see VeChain claim support over here, just like it did over here, because that would precede an exponential rally into trend continuation. Because after this lengthy downtrend, you're seeing that VeChain is now forming a new trend, early stage new trend, ever since we've broken out from this falling wedge. So it's very likely that once we claim support here, we're going to see continuation in that trend, and that would be fantastic to see. Speaking of falling wedge retests, RSR right over here has been forming a falling wedge in of itself, successfully retested it, followed the black pathway perfectly, even retesting this previous old all-time high as a support before springboarding to higher levels and price discovery. It's now in price discovery, so sky is the limit theoretically. So RSR is really in a good position. Of course, if we ever see a deeper pullback, this would be the era to watch out for that springboard, for that historical demand era to kick in with some buy pressure. But it's not a given, because when price is in price discovery, the trajectory is predominantly up. But when talking about Harmony, we've seen fantastic price movement from Harmony. And this is also another one we covered mid-January on the newsletter. So we cover a lot of different altcoins every Friday on the Rekt Capital newsletter. So it turns out to be a lot of altcoins that we can keep an eye on. And one was one of those altcoins that really paid off. It was just fantastic to enjoy this trend, claiming this previous resistance as a new support over here. You can see the wicking, the downward wicking over here, claiming that as a support and then rallying over 170%, just extensive gains. But now we're at this historical resistance over here, and if one can claim this red level as a support, generally claim this red area as a support, we'd see a rally towards these blue highs over here. But of course, there is scope for a bit of a pullback after such an exponential run up, and a deeper pullback could see us return to around these areas right over here, and that would be perfectly healthy, especially if we maintain this area as a support. But at the moment, we are at resistance. Let's see how the weekly close occurs, because if it's below here, then it's primed for a bit of a rejection. But if it's actually within this area, then we might be finding support, and the blue level might be a possibility once again. So let's see how the weekly close happens here. You have to be cautious after such a run up. Don't FOMO in without confirmation. That's always the best way to go about it. This is an interesting one as well, because it has only just broken out from its weekly bull flag. And this is one I also covered on my Twitter, breaking out from this bull flag. Now we're in new all-time high regions. There is a new all-time high, so welcome to price discovery in some sense. But we have to now watch out for this old all-time high to just claim into a support and then follow the Nike tick for further price discoveries. So this price strength confirmation needs to be had for H bar, but looking good so far, so good. We need to just see that support claim of old all-time high. And the last one before I conclude this episode today, Ren. Don't count out Ren. A few weeks ago, I shared this pathway about how the red area would reject price, and here we are. We saw a fantastic wick take place, and now Ren is one of those coins that is trying to claim the blue level as a support, and once it does that successfully, we'll see step one be completed, and then step 2 will lie ahead before step 3, and so on. So those are my thoughts on 10 different altcoins. I talk about them in a bit more depth in the Rekt Capital newsletter in this altcoin special, which was free to everybody who signed up to the free newsletter in the Rekt Capital newsletter. You can check out the link in the description down below, and of course subscribe. It's only $6.99 per month. Definitely worth your time, definitely worth checking out. And that's about it for today's video. Thanks so much for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel, and of course like this video if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. Wishing you a fantastic restful weekend within reason, because crypto is so crazy nowadays. It's very difficult to catch some long sleep, because for instance I wake up out of excitement earlier than usual. It's definitely a roller coaster over time, but I do wish you some relaxation during this exciting weekend. Altcoins tend to rally quite a bit over the weekends. This has been the case over the past few weeks, but enough rambling on. Thank you so much for watching today. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak soon.